There is nothing unusual about tropical storms in July, but Hannah became the Atlantic Basin's earliest eighth named tropical storm ever on July 24th. And when Isaias was born on July 30th, it was the first time in history that 9 tropical storms were named before the start of August. The main contributor has been unusually warm ocean water. Sea surface temperatures have been the 4th warmest since tracking began in 1982. Baltimore, Maryland had its hottest July on record with 25 of the 31 days at 90 degrees or warmer. The 128-degree temperature in Death Valley, California on July 12th was the hottest measurement in the United States in 7 years. And even the usually temperate Hawaii is feeling the heat. The 93 degrees at Hilo Airport on July 26 was the hottest July temperature ever measured there. It's been warm in Colorado as well. Denver, for instance, had its 12th hottest July on record. But it's the lack of rain that gets most of the attention. 86% of the state is now in some kind of drought condition, and with very little rain in July, Colorado now ranks as the driest state in the country this year. If you look at how far below average each state is, Colorado is having the 8th driest year in 126 years. No other state ranks that low in 2020. Meteorologist Cory Reppenhagen, 9 News.
I don't know if it's good to be number one. Okay, the drought is even catching up with Boulder. You may remember they finished the winter with the most snow the city has ever seen. Now, with the lack of rain, their water surplus is down to less than a half an inch.